Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to a news edition of the Garden Report. Jayson Tatum will play in the second Olympic game for Team USA after his now infamous benching in the first game against Serbia. Many locally here in Boston, Celtics fans around the world, as well as national onlookers, surprised, some shocked by Tatum sitting in that first game. Maybe the first DNP coach's decision of his life. I'd imagine so, going back to Duke and high school. And I'm sure he didn't sit out many games in his youth, even, and he hasn't in the NBA either, at least for strategic reasons. He was in that Celtics lineup from day one, the day they drafted him. And not a ton of response from Tatum himself. Steve Kerr talked over the last 2 days about how difficult of a decision it was. It was something he and Tatum talked out. Tatum handled well, Kerr said. And talking to Brian Windhorst out in Paris today at practice, Kerr said Tatum will play against South Sudan in the second game of group play. I'm not going to answer your next question, which is if he plays, who doesn't, but we're going to need him. And part of the job for me is to keep everybody engaged and ready because my experience with this crazy stuff happens. Crazy stuff happens. So Tatum will play. Not a huge surprise. I don't think anyone expected him to set out this entire stretch. Maybe he wouldn't play a major role through the entire stretch, but it does sound like, especially as we talked about after the last game, South Sudan playing more wing-based, guard-based, not a ton of physically imposing size at the center position. You can afford to play a little bit smaller against South Sudan, and that is what Brian Windhorst, who spoke on TV today as well, speculated, maybe informed speculation, that the U.S. will do. Bam Adebayo, potentially the guy who will sacrifice his minutes a little bit to get Tatum more involved. Maybe Bam sits out entirely in this next game and they go away from that double big look. So if that's the way they go, will be interesting to watch. As we talked about, Tatum didn't play great in those exhibition slates. Didn't contribute much from three, didn't take many threes. So we'll see if that game, part of his game, starts to emerge at that 4 spot. Can he take advantage of openings offensively that are there for him? How does he get involved in this offense? That's still something I'm interested in seeing that will key his continued involvement for this run. Because again, Bam, Davis, those two playing together off the bench has been a lethal duo for Team USA. Now, you could get away from Devin Booker as well. Many tweeted at me that that's the route they would go to get Tatum involved. But Booker just had an incredible game, and they've started him multiple times now through the exhibitions and then against Serbia. And he provides a consistent level of three-point shooting along with playmaking that the team seems to enjoy, that Kerr seems to enjoy. So wouldn't be stunning at all to see him remain in the starting lineup against South Sudan. And Derek White, we had that conversation too here. Holiday, White, them splitting the point guard minutes makes sense for this team. You could just go with one point guard and then in the second unit have LeBron or someone stagger into that group and handle the ball. Tatum can handle the ball in the second unit. Would you phase White out in that scenario? Obviously, a guy who would be more amicable to taking a back seat if necessary, but he's been so crucial in the minutes he's played here. So, no disrespect to Tatum, no knock on Tatum. Certainly, he's every bit capable of contributing to this team. But you look at the rotations they put out there against Serbia, and they worked outstanding at an outstanding level. And that's the kind of blowout win this USA team had sought. And they got it against Serbia in the exhibition slate, and they're capable of doing it with Tatum in there in place of some other guys. But when push comes to shove in a difficult game, a close game, uh, which direction do you go? Who closes these games? Right now, you still wonder if Tatum can break a closing lineup for this team. And again, he seemed to handle it well, at least according to Kerr. You got Durant, you got LeBron playing at the highest level you can imagine both of them playing. It's just a difficult situation. And credit to Kerr, he has to do this. We'll see if they can get Halliburton involved in some way too, because he clearly fell out of the mix through the exhibition slate, in large part because of the shooting. But they're going to at least make an attempt to get Tatum back in the rotation against South Sudan. It'll probably work. I think that's a good matchup for him. If you look back at the exhibition game those two teams played, Tatum came off the bench and finished with 9 points, 3 of 8 shooting, 0 with 3 from 3. So that was one of the games he struggled as well, though he did provide a steal and a block. Only turned it over once in a game where the U.S. gave it away 12 times. So this is going to be interesting to watch. South Sudan obviously gave them a run last time. Can they repeat that shooting? Can they keep this game close? Can they put pressure on the U.S.? Because, of course, South Sudan won its first game. Moving to 2-0, they would start to look like a relative lock to get into the elimination stage of this tournament if they continue. Now, U.S. should probably roll over Puerto Rico. We'll see what would happen in a South Sudan Serbia situation at that point. I don't know all the tie-breaking scenarios off the top of my head at that point, but U.S. should roll here against these next two teams, regardless of who plays. And with Tatum in the mix, you want to see him play well. And we will have coverage of that on Wednesday, 3 o'clock Eastern. We are brought to you by Game Time. Game Time providing tickets for all of the events, concerts, and their accredited MLB sales outlet on your phone. Go download the app, get views of your seats. That's so important for baseball. Maybe it's a park you're not familiar with. Maybe you're traveling this summer. You haven't been to Wrigley or Fenway or wherever it is. You can see the view from your seat, see obstructions. That's key. Panoramic view there, my favorite feature on Game Time. And right now they're giving you $20 off your first purchase when you go over there. Use the code CLNS. That's code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase at Game Time. We're also brought to you by HelloFresh. HelloFresh, their lineup changes just like USA each week. You might get something a little different with HelloFresh, and it's all customizable. You're in control here. So your dietary needs, your preferences, the kind of food you like, they have themes for their boxes, or you can customize them yourself. You can get it when you want it, schedule your deliveries, how much you want each week, how often you want those deliveries to come. And right now they're throwing in free appetizers for life as long as you use HelloFresh. Just go to HelloFresh.com/gardenapps. That's HelloFresh.com/gardenapps, America's #1 meal kit and my favorite. And go to Rocket Money this summer. If you're trying to get your finances in order this summer, you can save hundreds in unwanted subscriptions by going over there, seeing what you're signed up for, seeing what you're paying for it, maybe deals that you could get off the subscriptions you want. And if you want to keep them, you can pay a better price for them. And that's all available over at Rocket Money. So go to rocketmoney.com/garden and take control of your finances. That's rocketmoney.com/garden. I'm Bobby Manning. There's been a news edition of the Garden Report. Jayson Tatum will return to the Team USA lineup after his DNP-CD against Serbia. Team USA, South Sudan, live 3 o'clock Wednesday. We'll have post-game coverage here on the Garden Report again. And that's it for today. I am Bobby Manning. We'll talk to you then.